This is now my third time recording, as the first time had way too much mojo. The second one included Frog and Toad. And now hopefully this is the last attempt I'm gonna have to make. Hello everyone, welcome to All We Make Is Good. My name is Jocelyn, I use she, they pronouns, and I'm coming to you from my home here in the Blackstone Valley of Massachusetts, where I live with my two cats, Frog and Toad, and my partner David. This is the Make Everything podcast, episode 11, I believe, and I wanted to start by giving a very warm welcome to all of the new people here. There are a lot of new people after my Rhinebeck review, and I am very grateful to have you all here. I have a regular old podcast today. I have a couple of finished objects and no projects on my needles at the moment, but I am going to cast one on as soon as we're done recording here, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in the episode. I also have a couple of acquisitions, nothing crazy, but just something small, and then I think we'll finish with a tiny little life chat if you want to stick around to the end to hear kind of what's going on with me. So I think we will jump right in and get started with finished objects, and the very first one, if you are here from my Rhinebeck video, you will probably be expecting. These are my finished socks. And I love them so much. I'm sure you can already see the heels are getting worn already, and it's only been like a week and a half because as soon as I cast these off, I put them on and could not take them off. I wore them just about every day. I didn't even wash or block them. I got so excited to wear these that I just couldn't hold off. And so these are my finished socks. These are knit with, this is the yarn, and this is Heart of the Giant colorway on the Just Sock base by Shersty Cat Designs, and this is their 75-25 sock base. What else to say about this? I knit this on my US 2 circular Chow Goose, the 47 inches. I didn't even know that they had cables that long. I just kind of grabbed whatever long US 2 I found at Rhinebeck. So I am so in love with these. If you watched my Rhinebeck video, you'll know that I had cast them on originally with a 64 stitch count, which I found to be just a little bit too big, so I ripped them out and started over, and I went down to a 60 stitch, and I put them on and they fit, and then as I wore them, they stretched out quite a bit. So they are now, once again, a little bit too big, and I think I realized after the fact that this is a light fingering. It's 462 yards per 100 grams. And that's what a lot of these sock yarns that I got from Rhinebeck are, is like only like 1 or 2 yards off of this. And so they're light fingering. And I think that means I should have used either a US 0 or a US 1 sock needle. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do my absolute best to attend the New England Fiber Festival, which is held at the Big E in Massachusetts, which thankfully I live in. And I'm going to do my best to attend that fiber festival and grab myself 1 or 2 new sock needles, and I'm hoping to just get exactly the same needle, but just a US 1 and a US 1 and a 0, so that I can bring those home and test those out with my socks. I think once I do that, I am going to unravel these and reknit them on the right size needle. I like the density of the fabric as it is. I think it came out really nice. But I think just for general wear, I think it'll probably do even better if it's on a smaller needle size. And I think they will hold up a little bit longer, probably, and maybe not stretch out so much. I don't really know, though. This is my first project with sock yarn. So if you are a sock knitter or even just a knitter who uses sock yarn, the 75-25 bases a lot, please let me know what your experience is with your socks after you wear them. Do they stretch out like a lot? Like, should I be accounting for that when I cast on and do a smaller number of stitches? Like, is it the needle size? Like, what am I doing here so that these fit my feet snugly even after wearing them? Please let me know, because as I said, this is my very first pair of socks and I would very much like to continue knitting them, but I think I'm going to halt myself on that drive until I know a little bit more about what I'm doing. So as you saw, this is how much yarn I have left, which is quite a lot. I don't have a scale to weigh this. I have a scale that I just stole out of my parents' basement. Not stole, they let me take it. They're cleaning everything out of the basement, so I asked to take that because I thought I could use it to weigh my yarn, but it is in pounds and not like ounces or grams. So this doesn't really give me it. This isn't heavy enough to even like move the scale. So I will need to get like a kitchen scale, but I can use it for my cones, which is pretty cool. Although again, it will just be in pounds. So I have no idea how much is actually left. I would assume a little bit under 50 grams, I would assume. But again, I don't really know anything. So, but I had so much left over that I immediately wanted to try Fingerless mitts. And I obviously did not cast it on with this yarn. What I did instead, and this is part of my next finished object, is I reached for this bad boy, which is my 5.5 pound cone of 100% wool. I don't have really much information other than that. I know that the mill is named Merida, the color is Magnolia, and it says 100% wool. Or it says 1/110 wool. And I don't know what that means, but I was told at Peter Patch's, where I bought this, that this is 100% wool. And so I hadn't knit with this yet since I bought it. And if you went back into any of my episodes, this was purchased right before my very first episode of the Make Everything podcast. And so I've had this for a while now, pretty much all summer. And I hadn't used it yet. And I really, really wanted to get to it. So instead of using my sock yarn, which I had no idea how much I had left, I went for my big cone. And I used the same needles, my US2 circular, and I cast on these. And it has a little flap on the back. Let me put this on. I did just soak these last night, so they're still pretty damp. But they fit so well. And then let me put the little flap on. They fit so beautifully. I can't believe, I really can't believe this. I did not have any pattern. These were loosely inspired by I think it's a free pattern from Purl Soho, but I will put it on the screen here. And this was part of High Fiber Knits, one of her recent episodes where she recommended the Gusset Mitten. I think it's, I don't remember the exact name of what it's called or who it's by, but this is very loosely inspired by that. As you can see, I did some little gusset increases, but not too many. And the rest of it I made up as I went. Can you see their paws? Oh my god. Toad. Chill. Oh my god. Anyways. Give her a second. I'm not letting you back in. You guys were super distracting. Okay. Oh, it's Frog too. I always cave when I hear Frog. I think they're good. Now I forget what I was saying. But anyways, I had no pattern for this. I just kind of made it up as I went. What I did to start was, oh my god, Toad. What I did to start was I put the sock that I had just completed over my hand and pinched it and was like, okay, how many stitches do I need for my wrist? And went from there. Did a couple of increases. I put some stitches on hold for the thumb and kept working flat for a bit, then back in the round. And then I separated for the fingers and picked up the thumb and knit that. And then I picked up some stitches across the back of the mitten and knit this flap in the round so that it could go over the top. And I am considering making a pattern for this. I am considering, very seriously though, like actually considering making this one of my first paid patterns. If that's something you're interested in, please let me know. I will need a couple of people to test it. I think mitten patterns usually only have like 3 sizes, like a small, medium, large. If that's the case, I think I can manage that. If you think there should be more sizes, please also let me know on that. I'm only doing adults for now. I haven't considered doing kids yet, but if that's something that you're interested in, please let me know, because I am very seriously considering making a pattern for this, and I think that would be super fun, and also kind of like an easier way to get into pattern making than like a full garment. But I am also very seriously considering doing that as well. Okay, so these are still damp. So I'm gonna go leave those back to dry some more. And that is my second finished object, and I want to cast on a lot more. That was really like a trial run for my brother's Christmas present. I asked him what he would like in terms of handmade knitted items this year for Christmas. I had just made something for my sister for her birthday. I made her the T-Rex shirt, and I will pop a picture in somewhere. Or I will link to one of the other episodes where I showed that. Anyways, I made her the T-Rex shirt and she loved it. So I asked the rest of my family what they would like, and my brother said gloves, and I was like, okay, so like the hardest thing to knit and like the most pain in the butt project. And he was like, yeah, absolutely. I was like, okay, we're gonna do it. So, and then I really wanted a pair for myself as well, so this was like a trial run for both me and my brother. This yarn was pretty prickly before I washed it, and I know that we'll continue to soften up with wear and more washes. It still feels kind of prickly, like a little bit rustic, but it's not as bad as it was. So I think these might just end up being mine because I don't really mind it. But when he tried it on, it was like full prickle, and he was like, maybe not. So I am going to go through my stash and find something that I am okay parting with and make him some nice fingerless gloves with that. And I do have plans to do kind of like a special episode for next Friday where I go through my whole stash, and this will include a pretty large stash that I kind of inherited from my friend Peggy, who no longer knits. She gave me quite a large stash of very, very nice yarns, and I have not even gone through it yet, so that will kind of be something that we can do together. And I think the reason is I have a goal for myself to work through my stash and not really purchase any more yarns until I get through a lot of it. And I know that if I go through her very nice yarns and I start picking from that, I will never go back to, the acrylic yarns that I really want to use up and find projects for right away. So I don't want those yarns, the acrylic yarns, to end up sitting in my stash forever because I just never go back to them. So I haven't gone through the stash that she gave me yet in its entirety. I know some of the things that are in there and I'm really excited to get to them, but I keep them kind of hidden away from myself until I feel that I've worked through enough of my acrylic stash to deserve it, kind of. But I think for my brother, him being a special case, if I find some nice, probably some more sock yarn, if I find some nice sock yarn in her stash that she gifted me, and maybe the colorway suits him better, I will probably use that to make his fingerless mitts for him and find something else to make probably a second pair for me. So that's enough about the fingerless mitts. I had one other finished object, which I unfortunately don't have with me, and I don't even have any pictures, so I'm going to put in the inspiration picture here and just kind of talk about it for a minute. So my friend Adrianne, who I had just crocheted the rosemary top for, and you can see that in one of my previous episodes, or on my Ravelry page, she sent me this picture and asked if I could make her like a bathing suit cover up. And I had seen this picture floating around quite a bit. And so I knew of it and I was like, yeah, absolutely. That's something that I've wanted to make even for myself. And she got me her measurements with like 5 days left before she had to leave for Aruba with her bathing suit cover up. So the last 5 days have been me very frantically getting that project done. What I did was it's inspired by that picture, but it is not the pattern. So I kind of just knit like a meshy, there were like plain, boxy, very loose, flowy shorts with a drawstring in the front. And I wish I could show you a picture, but in another future episode, I will try to do that. See if I can get some pictures from her or just show you the yarns that I used or something like that, because I didn't even have time to take pictures to put on my Ravelry page because I finished it last night and she had come over to pick them up and they still weren't finished. So she sat with me while I finished the drawstring and then handed them right to her, and she went home and immediately flew off to Aruba early the next morning. Toad. I hope she finds something to do downstairs. Anyways, so I unfortunately don't have anything more to show or to say on the shorts, but that moves us on to whips, which are 0, but I will talk about what I want to be casting on. And before I do that, I want to share with you a little bit of background on this project. So when I got back into knitting, you just saw a peek of it. When I got back into knitting a couple years ago, and like really wanted to start making garments, I decided to make one for David, and I used this yarn, which can be bought at Michael's. It is a Karen, I believe it's Latte Cakes, and I made him a nice, simple drop shoulder sweater. Just like this, and you can see it's very, very oversized, super cozy, extremely soft, and you can see that it has kind of like this faux fur effect. It's self-striping, but it's just the softest, coziest, loveliest thing ever. This is his colorway that he picked out, which I think was like butter cookie, if I can remember correctly. And the one that I picked out was coconut cream. I made myself a cardigan, and I used some very nice buttons that I picked out, and it was exactly what I wanted. And I tried it on, and it was too small. And at that point, I just wasn't ready to rip back projects and start over. So I gave that project to my sister-in-law, the cardigan with my dream yarn, and very nice buttons. And since then, that was a couple of years ago. Since then, I have never been able to find that yarn again in the colorway that I want, which was the coconut cream. Until like 3 days ago. I swear to God, I've been looking for this for years. And then suddenly, in my local Michael's, they had it. They had 3 cakes of it. So I bought 2 of them because they're very large cakes and I don't think I would need more than 2. So these are 250 grams, 530 yards, or 485 meters. This is a 58% acrylic and 42% nylon blend. And it's just the dreamiest yarn. And I have been holding myself back from casting on with this from the second I bought it. I came home and I freaked out, and I was like running through the house trying to find David to show him the yarn that I got. And I was so excited, and he was like, "What's the big deal? It's the same yarn." I was like, "But I've never seen it since then." So I'm going to cast this on the second that I'm done recording here. So maybe in the end of the video, since I will absolutely not be editing this video before I cast this on, I'll put in some footage of me casting on my new project. This is going to be a very simple drop shoulder, just something I can whip up and wear. This is very much a product knit for me. Very much looking forward to this. So I have 2 cakes of this, and that was also part of my acquisitions, was those 2 cakes. And that brings me to, I guess we'll just go through the rest of my acquisitions. What else did I acquire? Oh, magazines. Okay. So I don't know if it was this take or one of the previous takes, but I mentioned that my parents are going through the basement at my old family home and kind of cleaning things out. And so I found a ton of my old stuff and just other things that they no longer wanted that I took home. One of them was a scale, which I am using for the cones, and I will probably use also for shipping paintings and stuff like that, because it is measured in pounds, so it's not very handy for small skeins of yarn. But it did tell me that this one right here is 5.5 pounds. That's so much yarn. I can't believe I have that much yarn. Anyways, getting back to acquisitions, I found a stack of old magazines that I had collected. So I am going to have a blast going back through these. I have Vogue Knitting Fall 2011. I don't even know if I had enough interest in knitting when I had these in my possession previously. But anyways, I have them now. This is the 2012 Spring Pattern Works. I wish I knew where I got all of these magazines. You know, it was probably something like, my mom probably went to the local book sale or something at the local library and found all of these and brought them home. Was like, "Jocelyn, look at all these inspirational magazines." And I was like, "Yeah," and I put them on my shelf and never looked at them. As much as I appreciated it. Anyways, this is Spring Summer 2012 Vogue Knitting. I'm gonna semi-organize these while I have them in front of me. This is Winter 2011-2012. Oh, so I got the whole 2011 era. Fall winter and then spring, summer of the next year. This is, where is the date? This is a September issue, but I don't know what year. Well, that's kind of sad. I wish I knew the year. Anyways, this is Knitting magazine. And it is the September issue. Oh, Pottery Barn. So this isn't knitting related. This is February 2012. Pottery Barn. Oh, decorational inspiration. And then I have, oh, this one actually just came in the mail for me. My new Webs magazine. This one was brand new. Holiday 2022 gift guide. I just got this in the mail. And then I had three other books actually, but I only see two of them here in my hands. I used to make ornamental knots. And I brought these home because I'm kind of thinking that I can use them for inspiration for cable sweaters, or like putting in really decorative things within a knitting pattern. And I think these would be really good inspiration for that. Even if I'm not like actually doing, you know, the decorative knots and stuff. But I thought these would still be really good inspiration. So I'm going to have to find time to go through all of these, as well as catch up on all the 100 or so knitting podcasts that I'm behind on. I am in such trouble with my knitting podcast because I want to say I watch them like every day, but at this point I follow so many people on YouTube and I love catching up with all of their podcasts, and like they're all posting so frequently, which is amazing. But if I get a week behind, it takes me 2 weeks to catch up, and then I'm 2 weeks behind, and it just snowballs from there. So yeah, I need to find a better way to keep up with all of the knitting podcasters out there. Third take, and we're still a little rambly. That's okay. I have one final acquisition for you guys, and it is not knitting related whatsoever, but I love it. This is Fang. I did not name her. The ceramicist who made her named her, but I love the name. She is so cute. So what this is it's a porcelain little ghostie, and she sits on top of a tea light, and then her eyes glow. And it's the cutest thing ever. I will try to get some footage tonight probably, because what I've been doing is I have her sit on one of my bookcases, and I put the little tea light under her, and I have her on like a little platform so that the wood underneath doesn't get too hot either. And I just let her sit there and glow all night long, or until the tea light runs out, which is usually like an hour or even less sometimes. But I love this so much. This is made by probably my favorite ceramicist. Her business is Caitlin's Good, and I will put a link to her website and everything down below in the description box. This is part of her new Halloween collection that just came out. I just looked it up before I started filming, and there are 2 little ghosts left. Only 2 though. She does have a couple of other things that she just came out with for her Halloween collection, although there isn't much left. I think there are only like 1 or 2 other things. She makes little pipes, I think, and then she has some mugs, and they're all like spooky themed. So like one of the pipes has like little bats all over it, and it's super cute. I don't know if there are any UFO pipes left. She had made these pipes, and she painted a spaceship and a cow, and then she did like an extra layer of glaze so that there was like a stripe from the spaceship hovering over the cow, and it was like opalescent glaze, so it was like all shimmery, so you could see the cow like being lifted up into the spaceship, and it's on the pipe, and it's so cool. It's the coolest thing ever. I love everything that she puts out. So there are still a couple little pieces from her Halloween collection out there, including 2 little ghosties left. So if you're interested in those, please go check out her website, which again, I will have in the description box. That was a lot. I feel like I said the last bit very, very quickly with little to no breathing in between. I have been a big fan of Caitlin for a long time. I commissioned her to make a custom planter for me, which I have a little money plant inside, or I think it's called a pilea, and it's like all nice and green, and it has leaves and mushrooms and snails on it, and it has a big frog, and the dish looks like a little pond with worms, and I have my little money plant in it, and it's one of my favorite things ever, and I look at it every day. So I love her creations, and yeah, I want you to go check her out and love her creations too. Okay, I think that's enough rambling for me. I think that is everything that I wanted to cover today. If you want to stick around, make sure you're subscribed, and next week I will be posting that stash tour and kind of an organizational video as well. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work out, but we will be going through my stash. So if you want to stick around, please subscribe. Give this video a like if you enjoyed this. You can also find me on Instagram and on Ravelry as All We Make Is Good. And I think that's all the promoting of myself I want to do. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. And again, another big thank you for all of the new people that are here after my Rhinebeck episode. I'm very glad to have you here. And I hope to continue seeing you and chatting with you guys in the comment section on my future episodes as well. So I hope you all have a good rest of your day, good weekend, and I will see you all very soon. Bye.